So if you remember last video, we did like an interview style sort of thing. It went really well, so we're going to do another. We've got some questions where we've used basically the comments we had in the last video. Instead of replying, we're going to put them in this video. So these are some of the questions you've asked. So remember, it's about living in Guernsey, relocating here. Fallon, just a quick recap, Fallon isn't from Guernsey. She relocated here to live. And this video is to help people who are thinking of coming to live in Guernsey. If you haven't watched the first video we did, I'll leave the link on the screen. Watch that, then come back and watch this. However, it's not necessarily, you can just watch this if you like. So, if you're thinking about coming to live in Guernsey, what it's like, all this sort of thing, Fallon's done it, and these are the questions you put to her. So, one of the questions was, how easy was it to get a job in Guernsey? And I'm reading from this because we've written them down. So how easy was it getting a job in Guernsey?
Quite fairly easy, to be honest, I'd say.
Well, how did you get a job? How did you hear about it?
So I went through, it all depends what line of work you're in, but for beauty therapy I went through an agency, and then it come up with all different jobs and everything for all different places, Australia, which I was thinking of going to, but then I thought Guernsey might be a bit more easy for the first move, and because I was only 19, so it was quite a big move. So when I heard about Guernsey, it sounded quite a good one. So
your phone's locked. The phone's locked. Good job I know the code. So you're basically saying, how did you hear about Job in Guernsey? It was a website.
Yeah, so through an agency.
An agency.
Yeah.
So best way then, agency.
I'd say mostly, yeah, if you're looking to move over here, I would go for like a local agency here, but I didn't go for a local agency, I went for a UK one, so you can always look up that as well. But there's plenty of local agencies. One of them's Leapfrog, I don't know any, I think Source Recruitment and Leapfrog, I know off the top of my head over here. If you can always get in touch with them, and I'm sure they'd be willing to help.
What might be quite useful is we leave the link in the description.
Yeah.
We'll look up the link, okay, for you for Leapfrog and the different ones Fallon looked at for getting a job, and we'll leave them in the description so you can click on them. That'll be helpful.
But how it usually works over here, so if employers, if they're looking for somebody and they can't find them in Guernsey, they're going to need to be looking elsewhere, which happens a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
With mainly the hotel industry, hospitality, beauty therapy, accountants, there's lots more, isn't there?
Yeah. Actually, leading on from that, another question which people asked a lot was, do you need a permit or some kind of license to come here?
Yes.
So what did you get? So you can't just turn up from the UK?
So unfortunately not anyone can just turn up to Guernsey and live here, because there's two different housing markets over here. So there's local and there's open market. So they're the two different categories.
Yeah.
So it does get a little bit complicated. But
so what do you need to come and work here then?
So I had a short-term license, right, which was 9 months. I had to live here, and then I'd have to go back for 3 months and then come back again. But for me, well, it's all changed now. I think now it's changed to 12 months. I think.
Okay.
They've got a bit more leeway, I think, but I'm not entirely sure.
So you'll have to double check. So
yeah.
We'll leave a link.
Yeah.
So basically, you do have to sort out a license.
So your employers, they will help you with all of that. So you don't need to worry too much. It all sounded quite complicated, but for me, it was just a case of my employers helped me with all of that. So I didn't really understand much. But the best place to probably go is population management. If you're unclear on the GovGG website, and they will be able to tell you anything like that, any questions you have about could you live over here and that kind of thing, with what sort of job, and because it all depends what sort of job you've got to what market you will be in.
I think the next question, I think you just answered, how long can you stay and work for? I think you've sort of touched on that, haven't you?
So you get short-term, medium and long-term licenses over here depending on your job role. So if you're like a management role or something like that, you could potentially get a long-term or essential worker. But for short-term, it can only be from like 9 months to maybe 12 months. You might have to go home for a little bit. So it just all depends.
Yeah. Okay. So another one which come up quite a lot was about accommodation, and people asking if they come and work here, where do they live, and about accommodation, stuff like that. Does accommodation sometimes come with a job? So, for example, if you come over and you're going to be a waiter in a hotel, how does that work?
It depends. So yeah, if you're in the hospitality, a lot of the time they will you'll be able to stay. The hotel will sort your accommodation or your food. So that's quite handy if you're not sure on things. That's quite an easy way of coming over here with hassle free, and you get your food, your accommodation, and everything.
So it's sort of all in together.
Yeah,
it's quite handy. Right, we had another question. Do you get taxed on your wages? Do you get taxed on your wages?
Yeah, so because I was under the illusion when I moved over here you didn't get any tax, so I got quite excited, but that isn't the case. So you do get taxed, yes. You get an allowance and then you get taxed. I think it's 20%, is it?
Yeah.
On top, so.
But basically you do get taxed. Because people think it's tax-free in the Channel Islands.
Unfortunately, you have to pay tax on your wages.
You do pay tax on your wages, yeah. And just a few others. A lot of people didn't even know where Guernsey was. Can you believe it? People in England don't know where Guernsey was. I can believe that.
I didn't know where Guernsey was.
Because a lot of people said to me they don't know where Guernsey is. They think it's the Isle of Wight or something like that. Most people know Jersey though.
Yeah.
I found. So you didn't know where Guernsey was?
I knew where Jersey was, but I didn't know.
How dare you?
I didn't know where Guernsey was.
Terrible.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, Jersey's a bit more.
I had to ask my nan. My nan knew.
Well, Jersey's been a bit more in the new. Like, you remember the film, not the film, the programme Bergerac, the detective, John Nettles.
Yeah.
It was called Jim Bergerac, wasn't he? That was shot in Jersey, that. So I think that had a lot of publicity.
There was somebody asking about could they live here on a boat, and yes, you can.
Yes.
But you'd have to get hold of population management and discuss that. But you can live on a boat over here.
Yeah, because
if you get a permit. I think.
We've been looking a bit at this up because we didn't know a lot of these, so we're trying to help. But we'll leave links, as I mentioned before, in the description for anything.
And then someone was asking what they get paid as a waiter.
Yes.
And I don't really know what you would get paid, but all I know is the minimum wage over here is £9.05. So I don't know if that helps, but I don't know what waiters get paid.
I wouldn't imagine it's a lot more than minimum wage, to be completely honest.
Well, I don't know.
Might be a bit more, but we're not looking at £20 an hour, are we?
But then if they get all their food and their accommodation included and everything, then...
Yes, it's a bit of a package, you get your wage. Yeah, you're not looking at a lot, but they do a package. But
the best place to probably look for jobs over here is GovGG, and it's the job centre, so you can always get in touch with people there and see if it's something they'd be looking at to help you.
So what's that?
Relocate. GovGG.
Gov.gg.
Yeah, I think it's just gov.gg.
So GOV.
You could put the link.
GG. I'll put the link. What else we got? So we had quite a lot of things. It went a bit crazy, this video. 90.
I think people were just asking about the housing markets, and so
the house prices have gone up quite high in Guernsey at the moment, haven't they?
Yeah, I think you can, if you wanted to move over to Guernsey and you didn't want to work at all, the only way of doing it is to live open market, and open market is very expensive, but that could work for people that are not worried about money.
Yeah. What about travelling? So people mentioned about getting to and from businesses and work and stuff. They assumed most places are walkable in Guernsey. Not really. I mean, you could live different ends of the island. It's not really walkable. We've got a bus service, which is really good. Is it still £1?
When I moved, it was 50p, but maybe it's £1 now.
It's really cheap to get around in the bus service here.
The buses are quite good, but I wouldn't like to. I relied on the bus when I first moved over here, and it was really good, but it still isn't ideal over here because it's quite hilly. It's not all flat, so I found it really tiring walking around with shopping bags. And I would say it is handy to be able to drive over here. So.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're trying to get away from using cars and everything everywhere else, but people have got cars. You can cycle.
Or cycle, yeah.
You can cycle quite easily in Guernsey as well. But yeah, it's you do need most places, if you work in town, live in town, obviously you don't need to, have transport. But if you're living somewhere else, most people live sort of the hospitality industry, most people live on site, don't they?
Yeah.
They work in a hotel. You've got accommodation hotel, so you may not have to worry about that. But as far as the wages go, not sure. But minimum wage was £9.05. Do you say?
Yeah.
£9.05p. So it's going to be around there, slightly above that maybe. But yeah, I mean, obviously we're not experts. But we're trying to help people by the questions we get and how we answer them and stuff. I think that was everything for today's video, wasn't it? But I mean, give us ideas if you want to know anything else. Leave a comment and we'll do another video on it. We'll find out stuff first, like we did a bit today. But it's just a guide. But I hope we're helping. And Fallon, what have you got to say? Remember to,
I don't know.
like and subscribe if you want to see more stuff on Guernsey. Until then, see you next time. Say bye, Fallon.
Hi.
Thanks for watching. Click the screen to watch the next video and don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time.